In this video, we're going to create a validation field without writing long and repetitive if-else statements or switch cases. Instead of manually checking each input field one by one, we'll implement a cleaner and more efficient approach that makes our validation logic easier to manage. Let's get started by creating a user control that will serve as our input field. To add this control, simply right-click the project, then select Add User Control. We'll name this control Field Control. Inside the user control, we'll add two labels. The first will display the field name, and the second will show the error message, such as Field is required. Finally, we'll add the most important component, the text box, where the user will actually enter their input. After designing the field control, let's add some code to make it functional. First, we'll create a private string called label and give it a default value of label. Then, we'll create a public property named label that allows us to get or set the value of label. This means we can easily change the label text from other forms or components that use this control. Next, we'll add another public property called value. This property will return the text that the user types into our text box, and in this case, TextBox 1. So basically, the label property is used to display the name of the field, while the value property is used to retrieve whatever the user has entered in the text box. Next, let's add a paint event handler to our field control. Inside this event handler, we'll assign the value of our label property to the label control on the form. What this does is link the label we declared in our code to the label that's visible in the user control. By doing this, we'll be able to modify the label text directly from the Properties tab in the Designer, making it easier to customize each field without changing the code manually. And don't forget, we should also hide the error message label when the control first loads. This ensures that the field is required message only appears when validation fails, keeping our form clean and user-friendly. Next, let's create a method called confirm validation. This method will handle whether the error message should be shown or hidden based on the field's validation result. We pass a Boolean value called isEmpty to the method. If the field is empty, meaning isEmpty is true, we'll show the error message label. Next, we're going to create a class that will serve as our global class. To do this, go to your project in the Solution Explorer, right-click on it, then select Add Class. We will name this class Global. This global class will act as a central place to store shared functions or variables that we might need to access from different forms or user controls throughout our project. Now, inside our global class, let's create a method that will handle the validation of multiple fields at once. We'll name this method validateFields. We made this method static, which means we can call it from anywhere in our project without creating an instance of the global class. The method accepts multiple field controls as parameters, allowing us to pass in any number of fields when calling it. Next, we loop through each field using a for-each loop. For every field, we check if its value is empty. If it's empty, we call field confirm validation true to show the error message and set hasEmpty to true. Otherwise, if the field has a value, we call field confirm validation false to hide the error message. After checking all fields, if hasEmpty is true, we display a message box reminding the user to fill out all required fields. Finally, we return the value of hasEmpty, which indicates whether any of the fields were left empty. This method makes it incredibly easy to validate all your form fields with just one line of code, keeping your form clean, reusable. From the toolbox, drag and drop two field controls onto the form, one for first name and another for last name. Next, add a button and set its text to submit. Lastly, in our Submit Buttons click event, let's call the global validateFields method and pass in the fields we added. This line will check both fields at once. If either the first name or last name is empty, it will show the error message, and stop the process, keeping our validation simple and clean. That's it. We now have 2 input fields and a submit button ready for validation. Now, let's run the project and test it out. When we click the submit button without entering any values, the error messages will appear reminding us to fill in the required fields. Once we enter valid input, the errors disappear. And that's it. We've successfully created a reusable validation field that keeps our code clean, efficient, and easy to maintain.